I lost my wife 13 months ago. It was so devastating, but I got therapy for me and my daughter, and she's doing better than ever before. My wife's family is fine. My brother-in-law, Kevin, and I have some issues. We've never been close, but he started visiting more often after my wife's death. My daughter loves him, and she loves to do activities with his kids. He came to me offering to help. He gave me a list of things he wanted to handle: my daughter's doctor's appointments, school matters, wanting permission to take her with his kids anytime, any place, and said his wife wanted to enroll her in a specific sport club and wanted her to change to his daughter's school. He asked my daughter to call her cousins his daughters, her sisters. I heard her several times, and I was shocked. Kevin told his daughters to call my daughter with a name I've never heard before, and when I demanded he stop, and after I corrected the girl several times, he went to my in-laws, saying that he was trying to help, but I'm being cruel by keeping him away. They said he's feeling heartfelt sorrow for his niece and wants to help. I tried to avoid him and set boundaries. Last week on my daughter's birthday, my in-laws came and Kevin and his wife came too. They complained about not hosting the party at their house. I didn't see them bring any gifts, which was strange. Everyone started taking photos. My daughter was enjoying the day and smiling all the time. When it was time for gift opening, Kevin's wife opened his phone gallery and started showing my daughter a really nice decorated bedroom with a Disney theme. My daughter admired it, but I was confused. I thought they wanted to decorate her room, but Kevin said that they turned their guest room into a bedroom and decorated it so that it's ready whenever my daughter visits them. He went on about wanting my daughter to be allowed to come over and that she'll love her new room more than the old one. I got mad and told him to stop. I refused and told him that no, my daughter loves her room. He argued that I clearly don't have my daughter's best interest at heart, called me neglectful, and talked about how I'm being unreasonable and controlling. Even said that the room will be for when I get busy with my new wife and dump my own daughter on him. I was stunned. I told him to leave once my daughter started crying. My in-laws told me to calm down, but I wasn't the one yelling. He then left with his family. In-laws sided with him, said I had no right to be treating him like that, and that their granddaughter isn't an object that I can control, and Kevin did nothing wrong. Although he called me a bad parent in front of my daughter, they said it was his wife's idea, but I don't buy it. They want me to apologize and talk it out, but I don't want to, especially after what he said, and they were fine with it and said I had no right to keep them from my daughter. You are not wrong. It sounds like they're slowly trying to adopt your daughter. They're seriously crossing boundaries, especially by giving her a new name and suggesting her cousins are now her sisters. Tell them they're all creeps and to get lost. I doubt your wife would have agreed with this strange behavior. My guess is it can be used later to prove OP is delegating parenting to brother-in-law to sue for custody. I'm so sorry for your loss. Ooh, boy, you are not the idiot. Brother-in-law and his wife are setting up to take her. From the moment he mentioned being in charge of her appointments and changing her school, all I could imagine was him taking you to court to say you were unfit because he already X, Y, and Z for her and you don't. Then the new name calling. Obviously, he and his wife have picked a new name for your daughter. And then lastly, the bedroom. Creepy. But my man, they are trying to take your child away. Call me paranoid, but that's what your post screams. Don't be surprised if CPS suddenly makes a visit. Your brother-in-law has prepped to take your daughter away. I'd get a restraining order on brother-in-law and his wife ASAP. And if your mother-in-law and father-in-law can't get on board with you going no contact, they can get a restraining order from you too. They are going to do more damage to your daughter emotionally with their behavior. Seek out a lawyer and make sure there is nothing they can seek, grandparent rights, etc., and protect your daughter and yourself. I'm so sorry for your loss, and even more so for the insane drama her family is now putting on you two. Oof, wow, you are not the idiot. You are her dad. He is not. Plain and simple. That is really messed up, the whole room and everything. Time to put some serious, very firm boundaries in place. I hope you and your daughter are still in counseling. Your therapist will be a good person to talk to about what the boundaries should be, and importantly, how to communicate them. For a bit of context, around a year and a half ago, I came up with a plan to pay for my own university fees once I finish school. It's a little expensive, between the 4 to 5 figure range, and my family isn't the richest one, so yeah, I wish to save my parents the trouble of paying and do everything myself. I plan to save up enough money until I can invest in some cheap land back in my hometown and hopefully earn lots. I told my parents this and they seemed pretty okay, at least to me, with my plan. So I began working part-time and worked my socks off. So in those 1.5 years, I saved up around 3,000 pounds without spending a single penny. Now here's where the problem began. My younger brother had his birthday yesterday, and he always wanted to have his own gaming PC set. My parents always told him that they couldn't afford it, which makes him sad. One day, I forgot to bring my wallet with me when I was going to school, which has my bank card in it. When I came back, I saw a new gaming PC right in the middle of the living room, half unboxed, and my brother crying and jumping around in ecstasy. I was happy for him, since I thought they actually managed to buy it themselves, until I found out shortly after that, almost half my saved up money was gone. Yes, we all know each other's bank card passwords. I was fuming and lost it at my parents, demanding, "Why did you spend the money I worked so hard for?" My parents apologized, but noted that they just couldn't tell their son that they couldn't afford his dream set when there was money available. I screamed at them and said that they just stole 1,400 pounds right under my nose without even considering asking me, and that they both owe me big time. My mom snapped back at me, saying that I'm still a child belonging to them and that money should be the last thing on my mind at the moment. It was a back and forth argument, and I admit I used some colorful language there before my mom went on a power trip and yelled at me to remember who I'm talking back to. I stumped off in anger. Some of you may not think that 1,300 pounds is a lot in the real world, but I've worked so hard after school and even on weekends to get this much, and for it to be half gone in an instant is a heartbreak for me. But I think I regret some of the things I've said to them, especially when all they were trying to do was make my brother happy. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents committed a crime. You should tell them that they either return it or they're going to get charged with a crime. That's such nonsense. I'm fuming just reading this. Change your bank card too. If they were willing to do this, it wouldn't surprise me if they wrote down that information. You are not the idiot. It's paid on your card, so if I were you, I'd just return it when they're all out. Also, change your password. If they get angry at you, just say, "I couldn't bear to see my college fund depleted when there is a gaming computer to return right here." Think how many hours you worked for that. It's worth some hardship to get back. Plus, you'll be leaving soon as well, so the fallout is only temporary. You worked hard to earn money for your college tuition. Your parents should be proud of you. Instead, they stole from you to give your brother a gaming system? I'd be angry too. You may be young, but this whole belonging thing sounds messed up. By the way, change your password so they can't access your account. It's clear you can't trust them. And when you leave home, take the gaming system. It's your money, so it belongs to you. You are not wrong here. My ex-girlfriend barely started to get involved in my son Matt's life 2 years ago. Son came with me full-time when he was a baby, and she dropped out of his life completely by the time he was a toddler. We were young, 21 when we had him, and to her, motherhood was more than she thought she could handle, so she checked out. When Matt was much older, X came back wanting to be in his life. At first, he wanted nothing to do with her, but later agreed to meeting once in a while and having open communication. He says he doesn't consider her his mom, doesn't want her involved much in his life, or taking on any role. We both made this clear to her, and she said she understood. They do talk and see each other every now and then, but aren't close at all. There were a few times where she pushed me and Matt to let her be more involved, such as wanting to attend a parent conference or pick him up after school. Matt's turned her down, and I've also reminded her that it's not her place. This frustrates her, but I've said she's just going to have to accept the way things are right now. Now, about this issue, Matt, now 16 years old, and I go on a camping trip to Yosemite every year in June, his B-Day month. It's something we've done just the two of us since he was a little kid, and we both love it. My ex knows about this because he mentioned it once, and she brought it up to me recently. She asked if she and her husband could join us this year, if global situation allows it, since this could be a really good chance for them to bond. When I told her no, she complained about feeling like she's not making any progress with Matt because he still won't involve her much in his personal life and is mad I'm doing nothing to help. Again, reminded her that it's up to Matt and this is the capacity that he wants her in his life. She still says I'm wrong for not helping to foster a relationship between them, and this is exactly what this trip could do. I told her she's lucky he even wants to see her at all, and she can't push him into something he already said he doesn't want. Ex went to my sister about this, and to my surprise, she backed her up. My sister agrees it would be great for Matt to bond with his mom because he loves these trips, and it's not right for him to still want to keep her at a distance. Even after telling them that Matt doesn't want them to go with us, I asked him. They still say, as his father, it's my job to guide him and help him build a mother-son relationship, which he said he still doesn't want. I don't know why they are still giving me a hard time about this. He's still a kid, so that's why my sister thinks he doesn't really know what's best for him, and that's why it's my job to help him. My unwillingness to help is what has them saying I'm being an idiot about this whole thing. So I'm just looking for some clarification because, yes, Matt is my son and needs parental guidance sometimes, but in this case, I feel like it should still be up to him. You are not the idiot. It's none of your sister's business, and you can tell her that. Your ex? Well, now she gets to live with the consequences for being gone 10 plus years during the most critical bonding development period. I would just reinforce to your sister that it's not her business. I would flat out tell ex no, final answer. If she wants custody, she should pursue it in court. Definitely not the idiot here. Your son is nearly adult. If you try pushing him to foster a relationship with his mom, who bailed on him when he needed her most, trust me, it will end up harming your relationship with your son. Don't listen to anyone. Your son is old enough to make these kind of decisions himself. Respect his decision and keep focusing on your relationship with him. You are all idiots here. Children tend to follow the lead of their custodial parent. It seems that your resentment of her is rubbing off on him. If your son doesn't really know her, how can he be sure he doesn't want to get to know her? He may feel that as you were there for him as he grew up, he doesn't want to upset you. Your sister's right. A parent's job is to guide. It's a confusing situation for him, and as a kid who is not mature enough to handle it on their own. Give his mom a chance and give your son the chance to get to know her better and then make up his own mind. I, 21 male, thought until I was 15 that the only sibling I had was my twin sister. In that year, my parents thought we were old enough to learn about my older brother, then 18, now 24. This guy has a serious neurocognitive disorder to the point of being absolutely dependent, hence the reason he has spent most of his life in care facilities. My parents have been present in his life, paying for his care in good places and visiting him regularly, but they never included him in our family's daily lives, didn't bring him home for holidays, or spoke about him very much. My extended family knows he exists, but I'm sure they don't know his name. Back then it was shocking, but my parents never forced us to interact with him, and in my case, I kinda shrugged it off. Never wanted an extra brother, and for me, he was a stranger. On the other hand, my sister decided to create a relationship with him, joining my parents' visits. Apart from that, it's hard to speak about any other kind of bond. This year, my father had a health scare. He is fine now, but as you can guess, he is thinking about possible scenarios. That includes who would take care of my brother if he and my mom die. The quick answer is me and my sister, but I told them that, as far as I'm concerned, my brother doesn't exist. If the circumstances came when I was the last resource, I would just let him slip into our country's social care programs, which, being honest, are kind of bad. For you to understand better, even with the mental state he has, among other issues, he is otherwise healthy and is expected to live well into his 40s, even if his psychological age is the one of a 3-year-old. His current care is highly expensive. I don't want to have that kind of economic burden in my life, because of someone I have seen, without exaggerating, 3 times. Curiously, my parents understood and told me that they were trying to leave him a lot of savings, hoping that, at least, I could deal with all the administrative burden. If the money ends before he dies, they don't expect my help. I accepted that. Who is really mad? My sister. As I told you before, she chose to be involved and, unlike me, is unable to think about letting him die in some government hospital. Nevertheless, she knows that the economic impact would be tremendous and thinks that if the need came, I am obligated to help her 50-50. She also resents the fact that I just don't care or love our brother in any way or form, even after years of her trying to guilt trip me on being there for him. Obviously, we are all dealing in hypotheticals, so I hope my parents don't die in the close future, but it all has left a dense aura in our home. The answer may be obvious, but I'm curious if, considering the only thing I share with this guy is DNA, am I the idiot for not wanting to take care of him? You are not the idiot. Your parents are major idiots, though. Your brother should have been part of your lives. Your sister is angry at you for something your parents did, keeping you and her separate from your brother. Also, and most significantly, your parents should have been planning much sooner for funding for healthcare for your brother for his remaining years. How would your sister feel if your parents willed their estate to be liquidated and put into a fund to support your brother? Because practically, that's probably what they'll have to do. Your parents are definitely wrong for how they've handled this, and you aren't wrong that you don't owe your brother anything legally, etc. That said, on a moral level, you are an idiot because you leave your brother without support or leave it to your sister. You are all idiots here, except your brother. He hasn't chosen to be the way he is. You are making a choice that you don't consider him family. Your parents made a choice, for whatever bizarre messed up reason, that you and your sister would not be a part of his life when you were younger. Both of these decisions are incredibly callous. The only person that doesn't seem to be having a choice in any of this is your brother. And no matter his disability, he is still a person. As someone who grew up with a severely disabled older sibling, I saw every day the joy that they experienced as a normal part of our family until they passed away. And we had joy having them as part of our family. Edit. I'll just add that you're 21. You found out about your brother when you were much younger. You've had over 5 years to form a relationship with your brother, but not doing so is another choice you've made. I married my husband when Danny, stepdaughter, was nearly adult, and she's now 19. We've unfortunately never gotten along, mostly because she's irritable and moody. I was hoping she'd grow out of it, but she turns 20 in April and it doesn't look likely. Danny got diagnosed type 1 diabetic, 2019. From what I understand, she handles it brilliantly. Danny came downstairs yesterday, moody as per usual, and the only weird thing is that it was 7 a.m. rather than her usual 9 a.m. I spoke to her and got ignored, and that was it. She stormed into my bedroom earlier and started going absolutely ballistic about how I didn't recognize she was having low blood sugar and how I never do, etc. Thing is, she's an adult. If she needs help, she can ask. She hasn't had a seizure. Neither her dad or brother recognized the symptoms either. I told her she can ask for help, or as an adult, can handle it herself, which I think is simple, and it's not as though I've ever filled a parental role towards her, so why should I do this? She isn't talking to me, although she had no argument for when I told her that none of the other family knows her symptoms. I don't know if her mother recognizes them. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You all should know the signs for low blood sugar if you live with a diabetic. This isn't even a parental role thing. This is like basic human decency. Agreed. OP is basically saying, I can ignore a potentially life-threatening medical emergency because I don't like my stepdaughter. You are so wrong. In fairness, one of the first signs of low blood sugar is moodiness and irritability. If she was an angry girl when they started their relationship, how would you tell the difference? You are the idiot. This child has been under your guardianship for almost 4 years and suffering from a life-threatening medical condition, and the best you can come up with is moody? Hope she grows out of it? I hope she moves out as soon as she's able. Your household is neglectful. You are such an idiot. Actually, she is still a child because she is 19. She's moody because she has been a young girl the whole time you've known her, and you are apparently punishing her for that. That's what never gotten along, mostly because she's irritable and moody, means. Because you're a full-on adult and are upset that a kid has emotions? Welcome to being a parent and also human being. Imagine being so callous about a girl who is upset about their illness and saying, well, they haven't had a seizure, to say absolutely nothing about how humiliating it is for a child to ask their step-parent, who clearly doesn't care about them, for help. Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to you at all either, OP.